A lot of you have heard this before, but the context of today's presentation is about destination stewardship. So it's really more of El Nido, the place, than 10 Knots, the company. And when we talk about destination, I think that there are few places in the country that could rival the amount of history and lessons that are documented and are being shared out there than El Nido. This is one thing that we might want to bear in mind when we're considering a place. Obviously, if you're thinking of building a resort or a hotel, there must be something special that you saw in that place. And so before we start thinking, okay, what business model, what traits, room keys and stuff, right? Let's think about what will I do with this place, or what will my presence do in that place? Nothing is just as straightforward as, okay, this is going to be good for you, or this is going to be bad for you. It is what it is. El Nido is a very, very special place, as you know. It is an area of very high biodiversity. Did you know that the coral species of El Nido is more than the coral species of Tubataha? It is a fact. To this day, despite everything that has been inflicted on it by all sorts of human activities. So one thing also unique about El Nido is because it is a very special place in terms of biodiversity, it is so well studied. I think amongst all the tourism destinations in the country, this is where you've had a lot of scientific studies done. And we have benefited as a company from that because we participated and we continue to participate in these scientific studies, which gives us a front row view of what the data looks like. How much corals are there after an episode of bleaching, after an infestation of crown of thorns? The scientists come, they're very interested. This is one of their main sites. And of course, that should translate for us, that should translate into some policies as to how we should conduct ourselves and our guests amongst the ecosystems that we operate in. So when we talk about destination stewardship, it's not just about conducting ourselves in the most honorable manner possible. It really goes beyond us because no matter where you are, whether you're a resort or a hotel, obviously your natural environment will have an impact on the guest experiences. So it's always been part of our company DNA to think about our impacts and the impacts of the community and our natural environment on our business too. It makes all the difference because when people know at least that there's something special about the place, we hope, we think, we want to be validated that it makes people behave better. These things are all important. We can't keep it to ourselves. We have to share it because it's beyond us. We cannot protect these species on our own. We use a variety of platforms. There's always something that the world wants to observe, to be part of the greater global movement of conservation. We in this industry actually have a great opportunity to do that because when people come to our properties, they're on vacation, they're relaxed, they're happy. Of course, it should be dealt with sensitively, but if there are people willing to do this for you, grab that opportunity. Everyone wants to look good, right? And this is one big platform for them to be able to do so. We have all these challenges that we face that are evidence of poor management, over-tourism, and all the bad things that are associated with our industry. When we talk about destination stewardship, like I said earlier, it's not enough for us to do the right things. It's about magnifying ourselves. So you think perhaps after all this, I could say at the end of the day, "Hi, salamat, we were able to do this, we got recognized and so on." But the truth is, it never ends. The job, the tasks, it never ends. One of the reasons why we were able to pull it off was because we have internally a team, not just one person, but a team of champions that ensures that these things are done consistently. But also, because we do engage, we invest in a lot of time with the local communities, with a lot of partnerships. In other words, If we didn't do any of that, the pictures would be worse, infinitely worse. We never forget that we are a commercial enterprise. And so achieving business targets is just as important. I would have lost my job a long time ago if I didn't know how to make this work commercially. This is from WTTC. They came up with a report in 2021 that showed the different scenarios that people may find themselves in when they decide on participating or taking on destination stewardship. There are 4 scenarios. First one is you do nothing. You waste the opportunity. El Nido is a place that has seen a lot of challenging events. You've heard about the kidnapping before that drove us to the ground, practically 0 occupancy for weeks, big storms that were never expected, never experienced before, all sorts of things. So every crisis truly is an opportunity that we can grab and build on. But if we don't do anything, private sector, public sector, then it's wasted opportunity. Scenario 2 is when government just says, okay, do this, do that. Sometimes I wish that were the case, but in most cases in our country, that's not really the case. That doesn't happen very much, where government says, this is the good thing that I want you to do, and therefore you should do it, whether you like it or not. Scenario 3 is private sector leading, private sector organizing. I could identify mostly with Sector 3, but to be fair, because of this series of crises, somehow I've seen local government rise to the occasion, perhaps inconsistently, but somehow there are efforts. And finally, scenario 4 is the ideal scenario, where public and private work together to create a destination that is resilient, that could face climate challenges and all sorts of challenges in the days to come. And that's the one scenario that we want to work towards. I don't want you to take 45 years or even 30 years, but the day to start is today.